Tell me your full name and what is your street name?
So we're rolling?
Yeah.
All right. Cut that part out, though. My name's Greg Gunter. I'm a graffiti writer from Chicago. Started spray painting in 1993, but I grew up really poor on the south side of Chicago. I was raised by a single mom, and my dad was never around. And we were really poor partly because, my mom was an addict at the time. So growing up, I always had this feeling of not being able to have things that I wanted. I wanted G.I. Joes for Christmas. I got little green army men. I first got into art from actually my brother's dad. When I was about 8 years old, I started drawing. And then, as I got older, I think I was about 13, I got into graffiti because in Chicago, you kind of got to be part of something. Like, people are gangs, you're in a crew, you're graffiti, you want to be a part of something. The first time I went out, it was scary because you don't know if somebody's seeing you. You don't know if you're gonna get caught. I mean, you have to hide. I got over 30 arrests as a juvenile until the point that they stacked up so many that last arrest in the elevated tracks, they sent me to the audio home. They finally got me locked up. That's what they wanted to do. And yeah, I mean, at first it was a scary thing for me because I was a kid. I was young still. It started off just, in the neighborhood. And then from the neighborhood, then, to the orange line. Then to the orange line, to everything on the orange line. At one time in 94, I counted and I had 56 spots on the orange line from downtown to Midway. Now, we just rode the train and counted all of them. And I was like, wow, they're starting to stack up. So we started doing other trains. We started going to blue line, red line, brown line, even like yellow and purple.
Big up to all the red line rockers, the brown line bombers, the blue line bandits, orange line outlaws, the green line gangsters, all city.
Worm One, I came up with the name because doing graffiti, we wanted to make our name something that we can do faster. So we did initials, and the shortest initial I could think of would be one letter. And at first I was thinking of doing a snake with an S, but I thought it was kind of cheesy. And then one day I was watching Sesame Street and I seen Oscar the Grouch. There was a W and it was in the shape of a worm. And I was like, well, I could write worm and just do W's. And then, from that day it stuck.
I am a worm. Worm begins with this letter, W.
Now I'm a teenager, I'm in high school, I'm doing graffiti everywhere. I started getting into, going to raves. I started getting into taking acid, doing mushrooms. I started getting into doing drugs. As I got older, I started getting more into drugs, and I was using them and I was selling them. And at one point I was, moving a quarter key a week, and I was like big time into drug dealing. I was making a lot of money. And at that point I remember my best friend Reps, he came to me and he's like, gives me an airbrush gun and he's like, go make money. And I'm like, make money? I make $1,000 a day selling cocaine, bro. I don't need this. But the seed was planted, and I picked it up and I tried it, and I made a Tupac portrait. It wasn't even that great, but I sold it, and I'm like, wait a minute, maybe there is money in this. But I was still hustling and I was still using, but I still had the seed planted that I can make money off of my art. In 2010, August 3rd I think it was like August 2nd, I overdosed and I almost died. All I remember is that I woke up in the hospital and everybody was around me and they were crying, and it was like, what the fuck, what happened, And And then I had to think, you know, like, do I want to live or do I want to die? I opened a shop and everything was doing good, but I didn't believe 100% in myself. I didn't believe that I can make a living off of art at that time. At that time, I thought I still needed to hustle. And I was like, well, I could sell drugs now that I don't use them. But I was mixing clean water and dirty water. You know, you can't have a bucket of paint and put a drop of black in it and think it's still going to be white. It's not going to be white no more. It's going to be gray now. And I thought, well, there's not enough money in art. I have to hustle. So when I told myself there wasn't enough money in art, that became my reality. There wasn't enough money in art. There never was enough money in art because I told myself that with my feelings. Until the point that they snitched on me and I got locked up and I was in Cook County Jail. Now I was in Cook County Jail. I didn't have nobody there, no money, nothing. And I started doing portraits with a little piece of a pencil, and I didn't even have an eraser. I used the bottom of the shoe, which was a little piece of rubber, and I started doing portraits for $5. And I started doing birthday cards or cards for your girl for $1. Now, I didn't have no money, but I had a box full of food to the point where I could help the new person with food when they came in. And I thought to myself, if I could eat in here, why can't I eat out there? And I started to believe from that moment, like a light bulb clicked. I was like, you know what? I can. And then, you know, a little bit of time passes and I met my soon-to-be wife, which is my wife now. And I'm so grateful because now I have the woman of my dreams. I have a job I love. And all it took was for me to believe in myself from that moment, you know, and not giving up. You know, so it's like watching a tree grow sometimes. You don't see the progress happening, but when you step back and look at it, you're like, wow, you know what? I have a lot to be grateful for. You know, not monetary things, but I'm happy. You know, I have a job I love. I have a wife I love. You know, I'm totally turned it around. I took two things that I used to go to jail for. Which was, you know, I went to jail for graffiti and I went to jail for selling drugs. And I took the two negatives that were in my life and I turned them into a positive.
Yeah, I'm about to get my paint on. I'm going all city with this one. Come on. I used to be in love with spray painting on the train. Can't fuck with it no more. Pigs hating on the game. Now they giving felonies for spraying up the name. I started off whack, but the kid had heart. Hitting up the trash, running around after dark. Had a little bit of skill, but a lot of ambition. Do it for the thrills, man. I love those missions. If you're in it for the fame, man, change the game plan.
So I have no training. I have a horrible background. And I have no education. So what was I going to do with myself? My only option in my mind was to sell drugs. I think God put me in that position to be in jail to show me, you know, to give me a second chance at life because I could have died. So he gave me a second chance at life and he said, you know, I'm going to shake you up and I want you to see something. And then when I went there, that's when I seen what I was capable of. And I was like, okay. And I took something that I used to go to jail for and I turned it into a lucrative business. Now, I don't have no education, but I have a lot of experience, 28 years of experience. So there's people with college diplomas that can't get jobs because they don't got experience. I don't have a diploma, but I got a lot of experience. So I took the experience and now people pay me and I don't have to get chased. I don't have to get my stuff painted over the next day. Now people want what I'm doing. People are happy for what I'm doing. And I'm helping in a way. I'm helping people, you know, bring happiness to their life.
With agility, it's killing me, seeing my people's in facility. But I'ma stay rocking, keep my shit bopping. I'm hooked to the shit, I don't think I'm ever stopping. Sometimes I feel the world's going insane, so I fill my bag with cans and spray away the pain. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing my brain, so I fill my bag with cans and spray away the pain. Sometimes I feel the world's going insane, so I fill my bag with cans and spray away the pain. Sometimes I feel like I'm losing my brain, so I fill my bag with cans and spray away the pain. Ain't no stopping, Come on, let's get it.